Welcome to Macrocode. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we are going to create a minimal API in .NET 9. So if you're new to this channel and you want to see how this goes along, so remember to subscribe and let's begin this particular episode. So I'm using Visual Studio 2022. So I'll just create a new project. And on my new project, I'll choose, so you can search on the templates here, API. And it will be able to give you sample project templates for creating RESTful web APIs. I'll just use this one, ASP.NET Core Web API. I'll just proceed. Then it will ask me for the name, and you can choose the location. You can choose from here, and it will give you the locations where to save. So I'll just give it my project name. So I'll say this is student minimal API. So that is my name of the project. Then I'll proceed next. Then here I have different frameworks. So .NET 7, 8, and 9. Actually 10 is out and I'm going to update that. So I'll be installing that. So then authentication type, I'm using none. Then here, instead, if you want to use controllers, you can click here, then you'll use controllers. But in case you don't want to use controllers, that is what we are doing today. So we keep that unticked. And you can see here, I use controllers instead of minimal APIs. So if you want to use that, so if I just proceed here, so minimal API is actually a default way of creating APIs in our current setup. So if you create that, you'll realize that we now have an app settings file, and you also have the Program.cs file. So it's quite different. You'll realize that we don't have any controllers. So our weather forecast for the initial controllers is not, our weather forecast controllers is not available, and even the model. So you can see we have our OpenAPI here, and you can actually launch it and access it. But in case you want to use Swagger, we can add Swagger. So you just right click and manage NuGet package. Then you can add here, can say here Swagger. So that is SwagGen. So I'll just install some. I'll install SwagGen. I'll also install so let's do here Swagger. So I'll also install Swashbuckle. Then I'll also do UI. Once you do this, I'll go back to my program.cs. Instead of using OpenAPI, I can just comment that, and let me zoom this. Then I can use my Swagger. So I'll just do add SwaggerGen. Then here I can use Swagger. So I'll do here Swagger. Use Swagger, and I can also add use SwaggerGen, Swagger UI. So the same case here, it is within development, and you can also have it here in case you want to display it on production. So that is very simple. So if we just relaunch our app here, we should be able to access our API and be able to see some of the endpoints that are available. So if I open my browser, so there we go, and I can access. So to get the links, you'll go to properties and launch settings, or it can even open on your, if it doesn't open, you can access it from here. So if I do that and just do Swagger, then you realize that I have my API. So you see this is our student minimal API, and this is our weather forecast endpoint. So if I try this and execute, I'll be able to get results. And these are the results that we have now on our project. Then if you, in case you need the JSON, if you click there, you can be able to see the JSON here, and you can be able to use this and test your project in various ways. Instead of that also, you can come to Student Minimal API, and you'll be able to see here, you can test this using this particular link. Then here you can send a request. So if you send the request, then it will give you the response on this other side. So you'll be able to see the row, you can see the headers, and you can also see the request, how it was sent. So this is one of it, and you can be able to see the this is how the JSON looks like. So that is one thing that we've been able to do. So what I want us to do next is I want us to create a model. So I want us to create a model that you are going to use in this particular project. So one is, let's create a folder. I'll just go back here. Let's create a folder called student API models. Then we can create a model here called student. I'll just create a model here called student. So on the student, we can add some properties. So I'll just say public string. So I'll do here first name. So this is first name. Then I'll also do middle name. I'll also do middle name. So this is middle name. I can do last name. So this is the last name. And then you can be able to do so here we'll be having our last name. Then I'll also do, let's do email. I'll do here email address. Then we can have here, let's say date of birth. So this one will do date time. Then you can say here date of birth. Then we can have address, which is a string. So let's just have these few properties and we should be good to go. So that is our model. So the next thing that I want us to create is I want us to create our application DbContext. So we need to establish the connection between our app and the database. So here I'll create a folder called, I want us to create a folder called DB. So let's just call this database, or you can call this data. Let's call it data. Then I'll create a class called application DbContext. I'll call this application DbContext. So once we have that, what I want us to do is we can have our constructor. But before that, I want us to add some NuGet package. So that is EF core. So we are using Entity Framework core. Then we can add Entity Framework core here. And also we can do design. I'll add design. I'll also add SQL Server. We are connecting to SQL Server. And you can connect this to different database that you have. I'll also do tools. So I'll apply that and accept. So we've done EF core, design, SQL Server, and tools. Then we can have, I can also add Fluent validation. So we'll just add Fluent validation here, and we'll be adding a dependency injection extension. So that is one. So if you want to check some of these NuGets, so if you double click on your project, you should see something like this, and you should be able to see the target framework and also the NuGets that you've added. You see we have the core, design, SQL Server, and tools. So that is cool. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to, so let's just confirm here, we should be calling this application. It should be application DbContext. Application DbContext. So what I want us to do here, I want us to do something. So this one I'll call DbContext. Options. I'll just do DbContext context options, and then I can do that. So you can see here. So I need to use Entity Framework core, and that is okay. And here, because I have that, I can actually put my models. So I'll just say public. You can see that is our model DB set, but we can just have these as students, and we can have that as students. So I'll close that. Then we need to import this particular model. So that is okay. Then the next thing that we need here is our protected override void on model creating. and you can see we have it here. So, and there's some things you can do. So you can say maybe model builder entity as key. And do you have a key here? We need to have a key. Yes, so we need to have our primary key, and you can have this as ID. Then if you go back, so this will be okay. And if I just do that, you can also have a model builder dot apply configuration assembly configurations, and you can do that. And also have so I think this is okay. So the next thing that I want us to do is so what I want us to do next is I want us to add another service. So let's create a folder called API services. Let's just create a folder here called API services. We'll do API services. Then in our API service, we are going to create here called service extension. So we'll create a service class called service extensions. Then here, I want us to do public static. Then I'll do here void. Then you can say add API services. So you can say add API services. Then inside here, I want us to add our builder dot services, then dot add DbContext. That's where I want us to add our application DbContext. Then you can use that. I'll just do here application DbContext. I can use option. Then I can do here. I'll copy this, and I can have it here. Then this option, I'll just do here public static. Then this is supposed to be using. So what is the issue here? We'll just do that, and we need to remove this. So here, I want us to use this should be builder.services.add DbContext, an application DbContext option. Then this saying cannot use local function declared in top of the. So what we need to do here is we need to say this ihost application builder. Then we can have our builder here. So then here we need to use our EFCO. Then this should be okay. We need to close this. So one thing that we need to know is we need to have our default connection settings already here. So this is it. You need to have our database, so you can get it from here. You can just do this, and you'll get our server name. And then you can go back and add our DB, put in the trusted connection, multiple active result sets, and trusted server certificate. So since we have these services, add API service, then I want us to do something. So on this add API service, we can do here, let's say builder, then dot services, then dot add valid. So you can do here validators from assembly. Then you can just do assembly. Then you can do here validator from assembly. Then you can do assembly dot get execute assembly. So This is a method. So that's okay. So the next thing is we need to come here on our program.cs. Then you can say here builder.services.add. So on our program, we need to add now our service. So here we'll say builder dot and say this should be add API service. Then we need to do that. So these will be able to connect to our DB. So our database configuration, we have it here. So you can change it to look this way. And we also have our services. This is how it looks. So if you try, you'll be able to get to add migrations. So let's try add migrations. Then you say student initial create. So this will be initial create. So if you add migration student initial create, then it will give us our migration file. So you can see here we have students, first name, middle name, last name, email address, date of birth, and address. Then we can actually update database. So if we say update, so we need to know our database here. If we have this particular database, so we need to create it if we don't have it. So here we have. Then we can now update database. So we should be having that particular table. So you can see our commands are executing and all is well. So if you go back to this particular database, you should see a table called EF migrations, and you also have students. So that is okay. So we have the ID, first name, middle name, last name, email address, date of birth, and address. So the next thing that we need to go and do is I want us to create view models. So here, let's just go here and create a view model. So let's say view models. Then in our view models, I want us to create one for, let's call these contracts. So let's call these contracts. And we can come here and create one. So we'll say create. We'll do create student request. Create student request. Then on this create student request, I want us to go and borrow some properties from our student. This one except the ID. Then you can have it here. But this one, I want us to change this to a record, but instead of a class. Then this will be get. Then here, instead of that, I'll do a init. I'll change all this to init, initialize. Then the next also will be, I need to create another response. We'll just create here student. We'll call this student response. Student response. Then you can copy the same. We'll just copy this and you can have it here. So this is our student response, and we can have here now the ID. Sorry. We can have the ID. So here we'll say int ID, and this will be having set. So this is set. Sorry. So this should be set, and you also have this as set. So this is our response. Then I want us to also have our update students. We'll say update student request. That one we need to have what we've done for student response here, and we'll only remove the ID. So the same thing, we are updating the first name, middle name, last name, email address, date of birth, and address. So I also want us to create a response. So we'll just create here, we call API response. Then here we'll just do T. Then here we can do T data, then message. Then you can have our constructor here. So I'll just do here t data, then you can say string message. So here we can have data. These will be data. This will be data. Then that is it. So we have our API response. Then we can also have our error response. So I'll just add here a class error response. Then we can have the error message. So this also we can have it as a record. So here I'll say so here I'll just do say error message, and I can say here title. Title, and I can also have the status code. I'll say status code. So that's okay. Now we have our error response, we have our error message, and we also have our error that is the status code. I want us to create another folder called endpoints. So we need to create endpoints for our students. So for the endpoints, let's create what we call student endpoints. Create a class here called student endpoint. And then here, this will be static. Then here we need to have so we'll do public static, then root endpoint root builder. Then here we can do that. So you can say map student endpoints. Then you say these endpoint root map. Then you have get. So one is we can try to add. Let's add endpoint to add student. So endpoint to add student. So we can do here. Let's see if we can have suggestion to add new student. So here we can do up. You can see here map post. Then we can have students. Then here we can do, so this is a student. Then here we can do async. Then I can do here. So here we have create student request. Then I can say create student request. Let me just do that. But now, before even we do this, we need to have our services. So I want us to create a service that will help us to create this and add. So let's create a folder for interfaces first. So we say interfaces. Then on this interface, I want us to create an interface, a new class interface. Then you can call this, let's call this student interface. Student interface. Then after that, I want us to have some tasks. So let's do task. This one you can say here, we need the response. So that is the student response that we had created. So then we are going to say add new student async. Then we need to pass the create student request. Then you can also add another one. Sorry, I'll copy this and paste it here. So we are going to add another one for get student. So this is get student by ID async. Then this one you are passing the ID. So these will be int. Sorry. This will be int. And I can say this is ID. Then you can also get the list of students. So I'll say this is enumerable. Then we pass our response. Then we say this is get students async. So that one we don't need anything. We'll just remove that. Then we also need an update method. We also need here. So here we'll say, so we don't need that. We'll pass expecting the response. Then you can say update. This should be async. Update student async. Then we need to pass the ID, and you also need to pass the update student request. The update a student. Here you can call it create student. Then here we need the delete. So this one will say delete student, we pass the ID. So since we have that, we need now to have the service implementing these interfaces. So here I'll create a folder called services. So this should be services. And then here I'll just add a class and call that student service. Then here we need to have our iStudent interface. Then if we click here and do implement interface, then we'll have all our interfaces. But now, before that, we need our constructor. CTO, sorry, I'll just do CTO, enter. Then here I'll do my application DbContext. So I'll do private read only, then application DbContext, and I'll do context. Then this one I'll inject it here, and I can say context. Then I'll assign this here and say equals to context. Then for the add student, I'm expecting create student request. So here I'll just wrap all of this in a try catch, and I can do here exception. There we go. But now I need to close this. Then what I need to do here is I need to say, there we go. So I need to say student entity. So this is a student. I need to have the model. So I'll have the student first name, middle name, and I can add and save changes. So, and I also need to return the results. So I'll just do here add and save changes. Then I need to return the results. So I'll say student equals to new response, and I'll do ID. This is the response that we are returning here. ID, first name, middle name, last name. Then I just say here return. But also I can say instead of doing this, but this is okay. So there's no worry. So I think that's cool. The next one is to get student by ID. I also try to wrap this, and I can have here a catch. There we go. Then I also need to get students. So there we go. So I'll this deleting. So I find that from result. There we go, and I can close that. Get student by ID as well. Try to wrap this. Try to do here catch, and I can do that. Then here we need to get student by ID. So we are getting students, so you'll get student find. Then if it's none, you return null. Then if it's there, you find that and return results. So get students. So I'll also try to wrap this. I'll do catch. Then I can close that. Here I can also do, I'll get all students. You can see student response, you get students, and there we go, and I'll return my list. Update student, can also try to wrap this. There we go. I can have this. There we go. And here I can do an update. So I need to do an update here. So you can see I get student, then I can update, then save changes, then I return my result. So one thing that I need to do here, I can have this as a sync. So as you can see that I can do here return. I can do here return. I can do a return new, and I get this out. Here as well, I think this is okay. That is Boolean. I can also do here return, do this as a sync. And here I can do await. Then here I do find async. Here, did we had we had nothing to save changes async? Yes. Then here I can say await. I mean await, and this one should be that way. So here as well, we can do async. Okay, async. Then you can say await, save changes, async. This one we can do. You can just say return false. Then this is return true. Then here you can say return that, return null. Then here we can say you can do this as return new, and I get rid of this. Then here this is okay. Then here I'll also do async. I can do here await, select. This is select. Let me just do that and leave it that way. Then you can have this as to list. Then here I can let me just leave it as it is. This one I can do find. I can do this async. I can do here find async. Then I can return null. Then here I'll be doing students. So this is student. This should be await. Then we can say await, save changes, async. Then I can do here return new, and we can get rid of this. So that is my method. So the next thing that we need to do now is we need to go to our service. So you remember our service extension, so we need to inject that here. So we need to go back here and we do builder.services. Then we have to add this, our interface, our student interface and student service. So we need to also add this. So that's okay. So the next thing that we need to do now is go back to our endpoint. And remember, we had added create student. Then we need to use now iStudent interface, and you can say student service. So we close this. Let me just do that. When you close this, you can do this, and we have this here. So as you can see, we can get a student response, await student, add student. Then you can pass the create service. Then you're expecting return results. You say created. We can have your student, then response. Now, the next case is we can do now, you can say endpoint to get all students. So we need an endpoint to get all students. We can do here app. So there we go. So you can say map students, student interface student, then you get students, get student async, and return those results. So you can also have an endpoint to, you can say endpoint to update a student by ID. So if you press enter, then you can see it is giving a student ID, update student, then update student passes the request, and if it's not found, then it returns the result. You can also get an endpoint to delete students by an ID. So we have students, and we can delete a student, then we can return the app. So we have our student endpoint. Since we have that, the next thing that I want us to do is I want us to go to our Program.cs and see if everything is okay. So on our Program.cs, we have our application service, we have our endpoint explorer, Swagger, and everything looks okay. But now I want us to change something. I want us to change our summaries here, and even I want us to get rid of this, and this. Then I want us to have a map dot say map group. Then you can say API students, and you can say with the tag. You can say with the tag. You can put in a description here. We say student endpoints, and then you can say dot map student endpoints. So there we go. So we've added that. Then we need to go to our service extension just to ensure that we have everything done. So let's just confirm we have our application DB default connection. We've added our student interface, and here we can also add, we've added a validation, and we can also add here builder dot services, then dot add, we can say problem details. So since we've done that, so let's try to launch our app and see if we are going to get all our endpoints. So we should now be able to interact with our database without any challenge. So let's just confirm and see if all goes well. So if you go to our browser, let's just check this is our app. I'll do that as Swagger. So you can see we have our endpoints to get students. So if I try this and execute, we are getting nothing. So get students. So let's try to add, or this was a post. So we might seem to have added a record. So let's just confirm. You see, we've added strings, and you have our data in the database. So let's try to add another one. So let's say here this is James. Say here Kimani. Say here Mbugua. We say here test@gmail.com, and we say we just put some characters. So if we execute, you see it is giving us results. So if we go back here, you see we have this. So let's try to add it multiple times. So I'll just click it multiple times just to get values. I'll try to add it. So if we go back here, I'll be getting values at the database. So you see, so if we go back to another endpoint, we say get students and try to execute this one. Where is it? Get student, try and execute. So you can see we have our students records. These are our students. get student by ID. So if we try this and we say 5, we should be able to get a student with record 5. So that is the first student. This is ID. Let's say a 10. Where is that? Let's pass the ID 10. We do here 10. Execute. So yes. So I want us to check something on the get student. So if we go to our service, our endpoints, get student by ID. So endpoint to update, get student. We don't have that one. Endpoint to update, get all students, and this is updating. So here we were updating students, and here we need to have another endpoint. So let's try to say endpoint to get student by ID. Yes, I think we missed this one. So this is a student ID, then it will get us the student. So we've been updating. So if we try to relaunch our app, you'll realize number 5, we updated it to strings. Number 10, we also updated it to strings. So if we go back and refresh and say get student by ID here, this is the method. Number 1, you'll see, we say number 6, you'll be getting real values. So you see, this is what happens. So we've tried to update our app and given you the complete tutorial on how to produce our API using minimal APIs. So I think that is it for today. In case you want the source code, you can get the source code using the link down below. See you in our next episode. Bye.